Welcome back to FallingFoxGaming, everybody. I'm your host Blaine, and today we're going to be playing some more Stellaris. When we left off, we got the notification that the galactic community has become a thing. It's been about 2.5 years since that date that we're picking up. The reason for that is that it's been extremely boring and nothing of note has happened, with the exception of one thing. We have actually managed to get the Techno-Wasp assimilators ready to accept a defensive pact, except for the only problem is they've been at war for a very long time. I'm expecting that war to end soon, so let's hope on that. And the reason why we skipped 2 years is because I wanted to talk about the galactic community. But as I kept trying to talk about it, a new member kept joining over and over again, so I just decided to wait until people stopped joining. So here we are. Now, for those of you that do not know what the galactic community is, basically it's an agreement between all the different civilizations that we should all agree on some rules. And then you start proposing rules and people can vote on them, and you can either support it, oppose it, or abstain from the vote. Currently, the one that's up is the regulatory facilitation, which basically means that diplomatic weight, which is what this is all about, is increased by 20% based on your economy. Meaning your drone population for us would go up by 2.5%, but then we lose 2% habitability, which for us is actually pretty big. And the most interesting thing to look at is the galactic community. Over here you can see all the different members that have joined. So we have a pretty big community going on here, and unfortunately we're right here. We are not in the top half even, not even close really. Our game has not actually been going all that great in terms of what we found. Most of our systems are subpar and our planets have just been really awful. So it's a good thing we've had a very peaceful game. Now, what I want to kind of look at before we talk about that too much is our actual economy and everything. So looking up here, we are actually doing okay. We're not doing like spectacular by any means. The food isn't an issue, obviously. It's at 0. We could probably do better on that. But we're actually producing 67 alloys per month, which is not terrible. I want to bump that up a lot here. More importantly, we're actually doing pretty good on research. So we're at 425 research per month, which is actually, I think, one of the best in the galaxy that I could see. There may be some people that are beating me, but most of the people that were at one point in time way more advanced than me, they're actually starting to lose that ground because I'm catching up to them. So for a smaller, we'll say economically weaker empire, our science is starting to boom finally. So we have that going for us. So the reason why I wanted to pause last video at the galactic community forming is because I want to talk about how useful this actually is. So with the galactic community opening up, we actually can now see every empire pretty much around us. We can actually click on them and actually gain a little bit more information because they're part of the galactic community. The big thing is we can see their diplomatic weight, which allows us to generally see their base power from fleet, population, and economies usually. And unfortunately, we get to see how outnumbered we are. I'm going to kind of just give you guys a rundown of our galaxy so that way you guys can kind of understand where we're sitting before we continue. So we are actually in probably the most, I'll say, volatile area in the galaxy. A lot of us around here, we like one or two empires really close to us, and then we hate everybody else. Around these parts up here, in kind of the northern part here, everybody just kind of hates each other, and they're going to pretty much always be at war, but they have a couple defensive pacts going that they just can't break. The Nolians and the opposite are working pretty close together. The Necron Devourers have not been fully contained, so they're actually doing a pretty good job eating up people around them, and no one's really fighting too hard against them, but they can't gain ground on the Nolians, so they can't go east, they can only go west. Over in the northwest, the Catrinian Interstellar Empire is actually doing really good, and they've actually formed a Star League over here, so they're actually forming up federations to fight the Devourers. So the Devourers really can't even go west. There's only just a couple small empires directly around them that they can go to, so there's a potential chance that the Necrons could expand enough to get a lot of power and then challenge one of the bigger federations. I think these are both federations now. Yeah, they are. So over on the west here, this is what I'd consider like the boring part of our galaxy. Nobody over here really cares about one another. I have looked at all of their relations, and some of them, you know, they are rivaling each other and whatnot, but there's been no wars, no nothing. So it's just been very peaceful over here just in general. Everybody's just kind of neutral with one another. The southwest is where I think we're going to see some more wars breaking out. So the Commonwealth of Man and the Jahitma Dominion, I actually do not like most of the people around them. And they've formed a federation, so they're actually just going to get more powerful. And then within this little group here, the Corinthian Commerce Cartel right here, they're actually eventually going to join up with these two most likely as well. So we're going to see a big federation form right here, and they're probably going to try and push out these other like 3 or 4 groups here. Now, in the far east, directly above us, directly north of us, kind of. I guess it'd be kind of in our territory because we're actually kind of north now as well, seeing as we got this territory right here. But these people right here all really, really like each other and hate everybody north of them and everybody south of them. So I'm expecting these two to either go to war to take one another over, or they're going to form a federation at some point, which leaves us to us. Now, we are ready to form a defensive pact with the Techno-Wasp assimilators. That's going to happen as soon as we get a chance, as soon as they stop their war. And if we look at the earbots here, we are actually not that far off from them as well. There's a couple different things we could do to try and increase that to get us to the same point where we might be able to get a defensive pact, but in general, it's not going to happen for a long time if it does. Which leads us to the Methenians. Now, the Methenians have put us in a very, very tough spot. Our relations with them are continuously dropping quite a lot, primarily because the border friction that they've created has caused us to basically dislike one another. They are encroaching on us because they took this territory here. They have created 2 border slots with us when they should have only had 1, and that's making it to where our relations are they're pretty stagnant. They're staying at around +1 or so, but I've also seen it drop by several points, in a given month. So I'm expecting the Methenians, we might actually end up going to war with them if we can't find a way to fix that solution eventually. But I'm not too worried about it because honestly, if we do that, we'll probably be able to get the earbots on our team potentially quicker. So that's one potential area. And then the most noteworthy thing is the Union of the Genlot Worlds. This is who we are guaranteed to eventually go to war with, primarily because 1, they are our border to the north and they've blocked us in this little area here, and 2, they're friends with everybody that does not like us. So everybody up here, the Dejun Authority and the Sendar Consortium and the Lipan Star Confederation, they don't like us. They don't like us at all, but these guys are in the way. So if we end up having to deal with either of these guys, they're going to come through the Genlot Worlds territory. So we're going to go ahead and prepare to fight them at some point. I want to actually get the defensive pact with the Techno-Wasps and then prepare for an offensive war. It's obviously not going to be, with the Techno-Wasps at our side, but at least this way, if somebody declares war on us, they'll have our back. And they're still very powerful. They are sitting at, I think they're sitting at around like 9,000 fleet power or something like that. They have a lot of fleet power just floating around. It's quite impressive. I don't think anybody else around has any kind of power like that. I've had some visibility of some of their fleets every once in a while, and most of the time it's just small 1,000, maybe 2,000 fleet power fleets. And it seems to be their main fleets because they're pretty large. So I think that's about everything. All in all, our galaxy is... It's pretty temperate. It's not really that volatile. There's not a lot of wars breaking out, and when there are, there's not that many border changes. So this has been a very strange game, and honestly, it's really hard to commentate on a galaxy that's very boring. So I apologize if the videos seem to cut a lot. I actually want to do a lot more commentary, but there's really nothing to talk about. Most of these empires are just very cool towards one another, so here we are. Up here in the northern part of our empire, we have taken our choke point for the northern border. Nothing too spectacular in the system, but this is our official choke point here now against the Union of the Genlot Worlds. So we have now officially claimed where we need to up here. Now it's just filling in the blanks for all this other stuff, which is excellent for us. And perfect timing here. I was just about to check on the war for the Techno-Wasp assimilators, and they just made peace right as I was about to click on them. Let's see how things went. So it looks like they just went with the status quo. I forgot. That's just kind of how it works with the assimilators. So there is actually border changes. It just isn't announced in the war effort. So the Lipan here? Yeah, they actually had all this territory before, and they've lost all of it now. That's rough for them, but good for us. So hopefully we can now form a defensive pact, and here we are. This is a very big moment for us. This is actually one of the people I was trying to get friends with in the very beginning, and it didn't work out too well because I was kind of afraid of accepting a defensive pact with them because I thought they'd get into a war. And honestly, I probably just should have done that. Let's go ahead and form a defensive pact with them. So we're going to go ahead and get some intel from them, and I think it costs some influence. Yeah, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. So let's go ahead and confirm that, and they should accept pretty much immediately, hopefully. And there we go. We have our first defensive pact. Now, this is going to be a strategically wise choice for us because take a look. Now, officially, we only have 2 empires that we really have to worry about. The Union of the Genlot Worlds, who actually cannot declare war on us because they're a pacifist nation, so we actually don't have to worry about our northern border pretty much ever. And then the Methenians, who are kind of being D-bags down here, but at the same time, I don't really care anymore because we now have a really powerful partner. I don't think the Methenians will attack us because of the defensive pact, but you never know. And I also decided to check out their home world. Look at this. This is insane. Their one world right here is pumping out basically more science than I'm producing total. Just their one planet. That's insane. So these guys are having a very good game, which is awesome for them. Good for us too, because they're our friend now. So we really only have, well, we don't really have anyone to worry about. That's the really weird thing about this game, and I'm okay with it for the most part, but I'm thinking that we're going to get pulled into a war at some point. So teaming up with the Techno-Wasp simulators gave me an idea. I wonder how the Earbots feel about us now. It says green, acceptance +1. Yes, so being an ally of their ally gives us +30, which pushed us into the boundary of acceptance by 1. Why won't it let us? Okay, it requires excellent relations or an envoy. Oh, we don't have an envoy over there anymore. We are totally going to do that right now. So where can we send one? We're keeping our Techno-Wasp one, keeping the Galactic Community. Yeah, we can get rid of the Union Genlot worlds. We don't care about harming their relation. Doesn't really matter to us. We'll do that. Send an envoy over there, and then send Defensive Pact. Okay, so we officially have a defensive pact from the Techno-Wasp simulators, the Airbot Manifold, but that caused the Athenians to break their non-aggression pact against me. So let's see their relationship. They are actively hostile against me, and this is what I was expecting. So we need to prepare for war against these guys. I really doubt they would ever attack me. I think they're on their own. Yeah, they are. But let's see if our defensive pacts allow us to get closer to a federation with either of these guys now. I haven't actually looked to see if that changes anything. No, we're even further away with these guys. That kind of sucks. That doesn't really matter. So we now, this is awesome. So we actually have the 2 allies that we wanted. We now have kind of solidified the southeastern part of the galaxy, because I believe that the Techno-Wasp simulators also have a defensive pact with the Earbots. So we officially have a triad. We're the triad of hive minds, a Gestalt triad. There we go. That's what we should be called. If we ever get a federation going, that's what we're going to be called. So effectively, us 3 are now all in a defensive pact with one another. So if somebody attacks any of us, all 3 of us get pulled into war. That is awesome. I don't think anybody's going to attack us. The only person that might is the Athenians, and that'd basically be suicide for them, so I doubt they would do that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take some time, and I think we're going to prepare for war. I think we're going to end it here. And when we come back, I think we're basically going to gear up for war against some Athenians. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.